Hello, all. Well, I am back here with another reading and what I think is another insightful reading. This reading is going to come from Dr. Claud Anderson's Powernomics. I've had this book for a while. What happens is I read multiple books at once and I make slow and steady progress on several at a time, and I usually need windows to sit down to read and think and digest information. Otherwise, my weeks are very, very busy, and I don't have a lot of time to sit down and think and ponder and digest information in book form. I got such a opportunity last week on a train ride to and from New England, and I had a chance to catch up on multiple things. So this passage is from Dr. Claud Anderson's Powernomics. I think I read one or two passages a year or so ago. I got I asked my family for the Black History Reader for Christmas a couple of years ago, and this is just one of 3 to 4 books, so there's more. So I said that I wanted to continue with Black history throughout the year. So I guess this would fall under that. But to my non-Black subscribers, however many of you there are out there, well, hopefully you learned something as well. I hope you don't just turn this off. And I think there are, in all of these readings, no matter what you read, there are general themes and there are general overarching relationships that apply to other areas and other groups. Now, I will warn you, if you're not used to this, if you've never heard Dr. Claud Anderson speak, or if you've never read any of his readings, they are racially charged. So there are distinctions between black and white in this passage, in this book, and there is discussion about, in this particular passage, there is a discussion about those of Jewish descent. So he talks about Jews. I don't think he says anything um, damning about them. I don't think he says anything um, insidious about them, but he cites them as an example of what to do right and what black people, foundational black people in the United States, have been doing wrong. So this reads as follows. Also, to those of you who are triggered by the whole Willie Lynch piece, he does mention Willie Lynch. I know that is an ongoing thing. Every time I read something regarding Willie Lynch, someone comes in and says Willie Lynch was not real. So Willie Lynch appears in this passage, I believe. Okay, here goes. This is from chapter 4, where he talks about educational reform for black kids. And it's funny, this book, Powernomics, this is not a new book. This is copyrighted in 2001. That is this edition. I suspect this was written earlier than that, but during my childhood, there's pretty much no mention of Dr. Claud Anderson or his ideas in my family or at my HBCU. So there was no mention of him, and it was only through the work of Dr. Boyce Watkins that I know of him. Okay, this is education reform number 3. There are 2 others before this. I may read those in separate passages, in separate videos. This is education reform number 3, cooperative and group learning versus individualism. Public and private schools based on the Powernomics plan must teach children to work and learn cooperatively as members of a team. White society credits Anglo-Saxon rugged individualism with development of this nation. Accordingly, they place great importance on educational programs that teach children to compete against one another. Individualism in schools is a form of educational Darwinism, or survival of the fittest and brightest. It is a form of selfishness that encourages a child to be self-centered, to do and profit at the expense of another child. This is the same ideology that drives this nation's political and economic systems from which black people have systematically been excluded. If black children are going to successfully compete, they will have to experience countervailing education practices that play to the strengths of black people as a community. One of the biggest weaknesses in the race is based on the Willie Lynch theory of divide. Okay, Willie Lynch. I'm just thinking about the people who are going to come in here and say Willie Lynch wasn't real. Okay. One of the biggest weaknesses in the race is based on the Willie Lynch theory of divide and conquer. Teamwork is left largely to sports. We need less individualism and more togetherness and group cooperation. Instilling the values and advantages of group cohesiveness in most cultures falls upon the shoulders of the basic institutions, the family, school, and church. But since so many black families are broken and dysfunctional, our schools and churches will have to pick up the slack and do double duty. To reverse some of the inappropriate behavior patterns in our race, it is important that the black child's early school years be devoted primarily to instilling a strong communal spirit and developing effective cooperative skills. The nation was founded on the affirmation of individual liberties and rights, while it was holding nearly 5 million black slaves hostage as a group. Beyond the rhetoric and myths that admonished blacks to behave as individuals, they were always treated as a group in practice. Pursuing the individualism myth left blacks bereft of group self-interest and group-based support structures. Teaching children to live as individuals is a philosophical design that works best for white children. They can afford to be individuals because they are the majority, and everything in the society is designed to support and accommodate the white majority. It is minority groups that are hurt by the concept of individualism in a society in which wealth and power follow the numbers. Understanding vulnerabilities associated with individualism has not escaped many minority subcategories of the majority society. Jews are a good example. As a religious minority, they stay together as a group, while they encourage black Americans to seek social integration. They themselves did not seek religious integration. They understand that in a society with constitutionally approved religious pluralism, maintaining a separate religion works to their advantage. So instead of social integration, Jewish solidarity should be an instructive model for blacks. One of the major reasons that Jews have succeeded economically and politically in America is that Jews move as a group. Jewish families and their religious institutions instill a sense of community and groupism in young Jewish children early in life. Years ago, a successful Jewish businessman told me that Jewish schools teach cooperative economics. The young students are reportedly taught that whatever they want to buy in life, somewhere there is a Jewish person who makes or sells it. When successfully taught, this lesson of mutual support and cooperative economics guides Jewish people throughout their adult lives and keeps them united and economically strong at a fundamental level. In groups, children can educate each other and learn to get along with each other. Research indicates that learning in group activities can provide double benefits. Students in groups functioning as learning communities can master academic subjects collectively, but students in groups also learn roles. They learn how to be leaders and followers and how to share and care, depend on and accept each other's contributions to a team effort. Group learning guides students to identify group problems, amass their collective resources, and look within themselves for answers. The responsibility rests with educators to develop curricula that make effective use of group teaching and learning methods. Essentially, group teaching and learning can help to concentrate the direction and quality of learning, to foster new patterns of behavior, and to eradicate cross-purpose activities. In schools that incorporate the Powernomics plan, Black children should learn how to relate to and depend on each other. Achieving a sense of belonging is a driving force behind the popularity of gangs in urban areas. The extra-legal aspects notwithstanding, gangs offer Black children a vehicle for team spirit, togetherness, security, a sense of direction, perceived power, and opportunities for gaining wealth otherwise missing from institutions within Black communities. Schools can be forces to redirect the psychological forces that lead to the development of gangs by including opportunities for Black children to compete group against group in an approved and guided manner. Groups give children comfort, motivation, and instant feedback. Schools can help establish habits of group learning and of appreciating the difference between cooperative group achievements and individual achievement. Students can learn to produce for, buy from, and sell to members of their own communities, while also depending upon them for the necessities of life. They should also learn that in times of difficulty or in solving common problems, they can come together and formulate acceptable common solutions. But schools must teach a groupism that supersedes class and income differences. This will be hard for many upper middle income Black children and their parents to learn because the ethic of individualism is well entrenched within them. Learning group interdependence and interaction begins in the early grades of communal elementary schools. During those years, the early formal socialization of Black children should stress mutual respect, a sense of shared destiny, cultural values, even manners, and courteous behavior, and build a sense of kinship. The group characteristics will be key if we are to gain group wealth and power. We live in an achievement-oriented society where a group is measured and respected by its competence and competitiveness. The feeling of being loved and respected as a group grows from early group experiences in the family. Both kindergarten and elementary schools are an extension of the family and play a primary role in the socialization process. The old adage that the way the twig is bent, so the tree will grow is relevant here. The early socialization process should teach teamwork to reverse meritorious manumission or the Willie Lynch syndrome of divide and conquer. The community will be the basic building block for a new Black America, and every Black person should receive his recognition through the success of the group and the community, not for an outstanding solo performance. Competitiveness, businesses, industries, communities, and politicians need socialized young people to benefit the Black community and themselves individually and as part of the community. Teachers, administrators, and ancillary staff need training in the new philosophies, methods, and how to revise content to achieve the new group goals. Okay, so there was a lot there. I had to catch myself every time Willie Lynch was mentioned because someone's going to come in here and say, Willie Lynch wasn't real. That's a myth. But I was thinking when Dr. Claud Anderson mentioned, when he talked about the Jewish individuals, and he talked about how they seek to buy things from themselves. I know that certain relatives in my family, they want to buy Black and they want to support Black businesses. And I know that during Kwanzaa, that's one of the principles, cooperative economics. It's easy to say, but it's not easy to do. And it's been hard for our ethnic group in this country since the civil rights era. I guess because there was a a need to integrate and a need to assimilate into society as a whole. Again, this book, it was published in 2001. This edition was published in 2001. I don't know if it was published, if there was an earlier edition. But as I'm reading this, and I'm going to wrap this up, one of the things you wonder is it too late for this information? Are black people in the United States too far along down the path in which they've been going to go back and incorporate these principles? Some would argue that based upon where things are now, it's yeah, there is no going back and incorporating these things based upon how the race is fragmented in terms of social class and culture. And that's the other thing. He said that it will be hard for upper income blacks because, well, social class matters. Your income and your station in life matters, and it matters how you see the rest of the group and whether or not you want to identify with the rest of the group. So, rugged individualism, that's something that's come up in the YouTube streets before. Do I simply seek to empower myself, or do I try to band together with others to empower the group and so that we can try to rise as a group? That's a big deal as well. Rugged individualism. And I think I'll stop this here. I think it's significant that Dr. Anderson has said that his books, have not been welcomed at HBCUs. And going back to my Reginald Lewis content, I think imaging and messaging are intentional, and certain things are silenced, and certain things are intentionally omitted. And I think that's the case with Dr. Anderson's messaging, along with the messaging in his books like Powernomics. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. This is Big Discussion 76, my original channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. Please like, share, and subscribe if you want to donate something to the channel. That information is below in the description box. You can also leave a super thanks. Please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. In addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer with 2 blogs and with a book project on the way. And with that, I'm going to wrap this up. As always, remember, everyone, that your attitude determines your altitude, and always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.